Arina, where are we right now?
So right now we are in Yerevan.
Yerevan?
Yes.
All right. You live in an apartment. What's your favorite cozy corner of your apartment?
My favorite cozy corner in my apartment is my kitchen window.
You have a lot of plants. Which of those feel most a little piece of home for you?
My begonia.
Okay, and how would you explain your Hmong heritage to someone who's never heard of it?
So we are an ethnic group from Thailand and Laos, and now we have a diaspora. So we are living in many different parts of the world.
That's cool. Can we walk a little bit slower? Just kidding. How would you explain? Oh, I'm sorry. What's a word or phrase in Hmong that makes you feel instantly connected to home?
Hi, nhớ tua lo trẻ.
Can you share what that means?
Hi, hello, welcome home. Come on inside the house.
Okay. Favorite joke, favorite inside joke between you and your siblings growing up?
Growing up, we never really had an inside joke.
No? Okay, how did your parents' journey to America inspire your own leap across the world?
They inspired me to leap across the world because they always talk about what it's like to live in a foreign country like Thailand, and so they just kind of always talk about how tranquil and peaceful their lifestyle was over there.
What's the most powerful thing you learned studying abroad in Thailand?
Always be connected to your roots.
Okay. How did it feel hearing the Hmong language spoken across the world in Thailand?
It felt really cool because I was able to connect with people in different parts of the world using my native language, I guess.
What's one memory from your overnight stay in the Hmong village that stays with you?
Staying up late with like the village elders and other students, just cooking bell peppers over the fire pit.
How did Chico State shape your view of global citizenship?
They really encouraged studying abroad.
What made you realize Peace Corps was the right next step?
Well, I realized Peace Corps was a next right step because it's like a long-term commitment, and which is something that I really was looking for in a program, because I feel like by being in a foreign country for a really long time, you just really get to immerse yourself and learn and know more about the culture and the people.
What's one vivid memory you always have from staging in Philly?
Sitting at the table with Mark and Kenton.
What did you, Pablo, George, and Harry bond over in those first Denver airport moments?
I think something we bonded over was looking for the van that would take us to the hotel because somebody just took off without telling us.
First impression of Tenzin when you sat next to him?
He's a very smart guy.
Best advice a fellow volunteer gave you that stuck?
I don't think anyone really gave me advice.
What thoughts kept you awake your first night in Hoftashin?
I think realizing that this is going to be the rest of my life for the next 2 years.
What's the very first Armenian word that made you smile when you learned it?
Baradez.
Craziest cultural surprise you experienced during PST?
That's a hard question.
If you could bottle the smell of Hoftashin, what would it smell like?
I think it would smell fresh.
Which day trip during PST felt the most magical?
I would say the most magical would be going to Garni.
What emotion did you feel unlocking your very first solo apartment in Gyumri?
Excited.
What was the first thing you did in your new apartment that made it truly feel like yours?
Decorate my wall with photos of family.
First meal you proudly cooked for yourself in Gyumri?
Fried rice.
Most accidentally Armenian thing you own now?
Fridge magnets.
What's one small Armenian habit you know you'll accidentally bring back to the U.S.?
Using tissue paper as napkins.
What's something locals often get wrong when they guess where you're from?
They often think that I'm from China.
What's the wildest guess someone made about your ethnicity?
I think someone asked me if I was from Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan.
What's something Americans totally misunderstand about Armenia?
That there's not much here because actually there's a lot to offer here in Armenia.
How did your time as a substitute teacher sharpen your instincts here in Armenia?
Being a substitute teacher kept me on my toes a lot.
What's the trickiest part about teaching teenagers in a new culture?
Keeping them engaged.
What's the most hilarious thing a student has ever said to you mid-class?
A lot of stuff.
What was the exact moment during service you realized, I'm stronger than I thought?
I think in like moments where I feel like quitting, but then I just kind of remember why I'm here and just being resilient.
When did you first realize you and your co-teacher were more than colleagues, but a team?
When we share our snacks together.
What's the first home-cooked meal you're dreaming about?
Papaya salad.
What's one life lesson your high school students taught you without even knowing it?
Be kind to everyone.
How did you hope your students would describe you years from now?
As a cool teacher or someone who has helped them.
How does living far from home shape the kind of art you create?
I guess the stuff that I draw are kind of stuff that are I don't know. Okay, can you pause?
How does living far from home shape the kind of art you create?
I draw things that I miss.
When you sketch, where do your mind and heart usually wander first?
I guess people.
If your Peace Corps service were a painting, what colors would fill the canvas?
It would be orange, red, blue, and white.
What piece of art you made during service carries the deepest emotion for you?
I would say the painting I did of a beach that I went to in the past.
If you could paint only one scene from Armenia for your future library, what would it be?
It would be a painting of when we went to Turchkon's Falls.
Who in Armenia do you now consider a soul sibling?
Do I consider a soul sibling? I would say all the girls in Gyumri.
What's one word you'd use to describe Peace Corps friendships?
A tight bond.
How would you describe the silence of Tenzin's village compared to Gyumri's bustle?
Peaceful.
When you close your eyes, what's the first image of Zoragyu that comes to mind?
The mountains.
What travel memory here made you laugh so hard you cried?
I wouldn't say it's a travel memory, but just like a really big get-together during Christmas house.
How would you capture Armenian hospitality in one sentence?
Amazing.
Describe a day you almost gave up and what made you stay.
I think a day I almost gave up was, can't really pinpoint it, but then I just kind of woke up and feeling really homesick. But then I just kind of reminded myself of all the things I've done in the past to get to where I am now, and just kind of thinking about the impact that I'm making in my students' lives right now.
Who's the person you confided in when the weight of service felt the heaviest?
The people that I would confide in is obviously Tenzin and Cha and my sister-in-law.
What's your secret for surviving homesick nights abroad?
I would say my secret is to just live in the moment.
What's one piece of wisdom from your dad that's carried you through this journey?
Can you repeat that question?
What's one piece of wisdom from your family that's carried you through this journey?
I would say be yourself.
What's one small skill you gained that felt impossible at first?
I think just like learning to be organized and not procrastinate.
How would you explain who you are now compared to March 2023 Arina?
Growth.
If you buried a time capsule in Gyumri, what would you put inside?
I would put in all the memories we had together. Actually, I think I would put in a paintbrush.
What's a sensory memory of a Gyumri winter you always carry with you?
The freezing cold.
Which Armenian holiday celebration surprised you the most?
Bar.
Could you see yourself living in Armenia again someday?
Not living, but visiting, of course.
What's the first home? Who's the very first person you're calling when you land back in California?
My mom.
When you walk the streets of Oroville again, what do you think will feel different?
I think just walking in general, because I don't walk back in my hometown. Usually I just drive everywhere. But here in Armenia, I walk everywhere. So, yeah.
Dream version of your future. What does your daily life look like?
I think my daily life, I would just wake up and be happy.
If you had to decide today, would you chase being a librarian or an ESL teacher?
I think I would chase something that makes me happy.
What piece of Armenia will live in your heart forever?
I think the passion that the citizens of Armenia have for their country.
What's one giant Peace Corps lesson you'll apply to the rest of your life?
Resiliency.
If you wrote a memoir about your Armenia years, what would the title be?
The title will be Lost in Armenia.
If you can send a letter to March 2023 Arina, what would you say in it?
I would say, what would I say? I would say, build as many relationships as you can.
What's the very last thing you want to say to Armenia before you leave?
I think I would like to say that this is like such a wonderful and beautiful country, and everybody here is so nice and kind.
And that's it for the 73 questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you for asking.
This is a vernissage, by the way. We didn't go there because... Why? Why didn't we go there?
Because Chezin doesn't like to be in big crowds.
Yeah.